Hello, this is episode 7 of my senior project, and this video is going to be a podcast type of video while I'm going to be asking my dad questions about his side of the family. So, how would you like to start this? Because Anjanine started with Pop and Nana, but I asked it.
I don't have any information really beyond my own grandparents.
That's all I need.
So I'll start with Grandpa's side of the family.
Okay, so let me organize these notes better than I did last time. Whatever. Okay. Okay.
Okay, just go ahead.
So you can start wherever. I could ask what was the name of my great grandparents, but it's kind of confusing that way.
Okay, I'll go ahead. So, I don't know all that much about the history of Grandpa's mother. I know her name was Henrietta, but I know a good amount about his father, whose name was Chaim. Although his Americanized name was Hyman.
So wait, did one of these people immigrate?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, because that's what I need to add.
Yes.
But start from so Chaim, how do you spell that?
Chaim.
Chaim.
Is Chaim. That I think is his real name.
Is Grandpa's dad?
Grandpa's dad, yes. But when he came to the US, he went by the name of Hyman, Hyman.
H what?
Yman.
Okay.
So my grandfather, your great-grandfather, Hyman, grew up and lived in a village that was on the border of Poland and Russia.
Wait, he grew...
As my father told me, it wasn't really clear whether it was part of Poland or part of Russia. It would change over the years. But the name of the village was called Grodno, Grodno.
Wait, the village?
Yeah.
Was called what?
Grodno, Grodno. And I don't know you're recording this, so I'm trying to speak loud.
That's fine.
And from what I can tell, it was a very poor village. I think they were just farmers who, sort of barely got by. My grandfather, I think he had 5 brothers and 2 sisters. He was one of the middle children. And in 1903, he came to America.
Why?
I believe for opportunity, because again, he lived in a poor village. And so he came to America for the opportunity. Now, his given name, his last name, when he came to America, was Jablonowski. Jablonowski.
Okay, so you're going to have to say that again.
Jablonowski.
So that's our last name?
That is our last name. But when he got to Ellis Island, you give them your name and they say, it's this. So in this case, they said, for now on, your last name is Bloom.
Oh my God! So that's crazy.
That's crazy, right? Yeah. So
wait, so you're Bill Jablonowski?
Well, I would have been Jeffrey Jablonowski, but
why?
Because my family liked the same first letters, the
gotcha.
alliteration.
Okay.
So anyway, so he came to the United States in 1903. I don't know when Henrietta, his eventual wife, came to the United States.
Wait.
And I'm not sure when they got married, but so Hyman first, when he got here, he went into business with a guy whose last name was Binder, and the business name was Binder and Bloom, and they had a clothing store. And when they started out, Binder was like the expert in clothing, and Bloom was, did sort of the financial stuff. And then my understanding is they separated, and that's so Hyman opened up his own clothing store. And ultimately, when he began to have kids and had sons in the business, it was H. Bloom and Sons. And they had a clothing store on, I think it was East Broadway in New York. And so, he had a clothing store. And so the interesting thing is, I told you about how his name became Bloom.
Mm-hmm.
So Hyman was the first one here from his family. The rest were still in the village in Grodno. So, and at some point, some of them emigrated to the U.S. and to other places, but for the most part, his family remained there in Grodno. And so we know from a book that was written that Hyman had a brother, and his brother's son, so my dad's first cousin, was named Harry Jablanowski. And Harry still lived in that village back in 1942 during World War II. And according to this book that Harry dictated to his wife. So one day, in I think it's 1942 perhaps, Harry is on the outskirts of the village, and he comes upon a platoon of Russian soldiers who are fleeing from German soldiers. They're fleeing from German soldiers, and they meet this guy, Harry, and they say, hey, we're looking for a way to get to point B. And Harry, being familiar with the territory, tells them where to go to get away from the Germans. And then they say to Harry, are you Jewish? And Harry says, yes, I am. And he said, they say, you better come with us.
Why?
Because the Germans are going to kill all the Jews. And so Harry never returns again to his village, goes with these Russian soldiers, and is a refugee. And he ends up leaving the area. He somehow ends up in England. And when he gets to England and he tells them his name, they say, no, your name is no longer Jablanowski, it's Jablan.
Why did they change it? Like, why is it not Bloom? Like, why is it...
Well, they took the first two syllables of Jablanowski, as opposed to at Ellis Island they said, you're Bloom. So he lived his life as Harry Jablan in England. This would be my dad's first cousin.
Okay.
And he actually was also in the clothing business by coincidence. But in the meantime, chances are the village was entirely destroyed and everyone was killed that he fled from.
In Grodno?
Yes. Because that's what the Germans would do during World War II. They would just steamroll, and they would have basically death squads, and they would kill all the Jews. So these German soldiers saved Harry's life, and he had a long life in England. And Harry, in his book, writes how Uncle Chaim from America every few months would send money, back to the village.
And then, but there's no village.
Well, before the village had been destroyed.
Oh, okay.
So during the time when your great grandfather Hyman was here in the United States, he would send money back to his family.
Yeah.
So then moving forward then with Grandpa's family. So Grandpa was one of 4 kids.
Wait, so this is information on Grandpa now?
Yeah. Grandpa...
Is it Herb or Herbert?
Herbert.
Okay.
Grandpa was one of 4 kids, and he was the youngest. He had 2 older brothers and an older sister, and the 2 older brothers were Milty and Seymour. They went into business with the father, H. Bloom and Sons. They were in the clothing business with him, and they went on after Grandpa's father died, which was in 1944, when Grandpa was 16.
He died when?
1944, when Grandpa was 16. Grandpa's older brothers, Milty and Seymour, who were wonderful to Grandpa, and they were 10 or more years older than him. They raised him a great deal. They went on to own the clothing store and run for many, many years. And then Grandpa had an older sister, Florence. So Grandpa, when he was 16 years old, he graduated from high school. He had never been outside of a 4-block radius at that point. And he went to college at Tulane, which was in New Orleans, Louisiana. So, he took a train ride of, I don't know how many, 20 some odd hours maybe. And before he left, his father had become very sick. This is Grandpa, was 16 years old, never left this area at all. And his father says to him, I'm never going to see you again.
Because he was going to die?
He was going to die. Grandpa got on a train, went to Tulane. 7 years later, he had a college degree. He had a master's in psychology, and he was a MD. He had finished medical school there as well. So, and then Grandpa went into the Navy for a couple of years as a doctor. And then Grandpa and Grandma married. I'm trying to think. Probably around like I'm going to say 1952 or 53 maybe. And then Grandpa, as a doctor, went into practice, and he started out with this one doctor who he thought was a complete fraud. So he left and he opened up his own office. He had 3 children, ages 1, 2, and 3. And he opened up his own office, and he then...
1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
They're 1 year
apart?
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know.
Yeah, and so then he opened up a practice, an orthopedic surgeon in New Brunswick, and he was one of only maybe 2 or 3 orthopedic surgeons in the area. So, when you would walk around with Grandpa over the course of his life, essentially everywhere he went, he met someone that he either taken care of, or someone who he'd taken care of their family member. He impacted a lot of people.
Wait, is New Brunswick where Grandma used to live?
Right next to it.
Like that house?
That was in Highland Park.
Oh.
Highland Park. So I'm not sure what else you would like.
No, that's good.
From Grandpa. So okay. So now Grandma's side of the family. So.
Wait, hold up. You don't have anything on Henrietta?
Other than Hyman used to come home, and they'd go out to a party, and he'd come home and say how she was the prettiest woman at the party.
Okay.
I really don't. I mean, Grandpa loved her. I mean, she was, Grandpa would say how beautiful she was.
And he wasn't even at the party.
Well, she was saying in general, not just
Okay.
at that party.
Okay.
You know. All right. So
Grandma.
So Grandma's family. So okay. So we'll start out with my grandmother, her grandma's mother, Jeanette. Jeanette. So she was born in the U.S. I'm not sure, how far back it was that grandma's mother's family immigrated to the U.S. I think it was before your great grandma's mother was born.
Okay.
She was born in the U.S. And so she was highly educated. It was basically unheard of for a woman her age at that time to have gone to college. And she graduated from Hunter College. And I'm not sure what she did as a career, during her earlier years. But I know when I knew her, that she used to, she would translate books into Braille for blind people. And I remember my father used to always be amazed that she was able to take like a long list of complicated, of many digited numbers, like a long list, and add them all up in her head like instantaneously. But yeah, she was. I'm trying to think what else I can tell you about her. She had plastic wrappings on her couches so that we didn't mess them up.
Okay,
She lived in Annapolis. Although she did live before I was born. When my grandfather was alive, she lived in Highland Park near us, and then after my grandfather died, she moved to Annapolis.
Why?
Because my mother's sister's family was in Annapolis.
How many sisters does Grandma, or how many siblings?
One. Grandma had one sister. That was it. Joan. And Joan had 5 kids.
Jeez.
But going back, I was going to say something else, but I can't remember what I was going to say. But anyway, so my grandma's father was Saul, Saul, and I believe his name when he came. So his name when he came to Ellis Island was Bendarski.
Wait, hold up. Was what?
Bendarski. Bendarsky. But they told him his name was now Bender. Bender. But he was born in Minsk, Minsk, Russia. And I'm not quite sure when it was that he immigrated to the U.S., but when he did, and when World War I came around, even though he was too young, he was only 17, he enlisted in the army to fight in World War I. And then Grandma told me that his father went to the recruiting office and had him removed because he was too young. But then he went back again, and he re-enlisted.
Why do you want to enlist so bad?
Because he was very proud to be an American.
Oh.
And that was so he fought in World War I, and Grandma used to say when he came back, he was so patriotic. That whenever there was a parade, he was always sort of leading the parade, and I remember seeing his discharge paper. I saw his discharge paper from the Army, where it said that he was born in Minsk, Russia. It said of ruddy, RUDDY complexion, and I think he was 5'2" or something. yeah.
That's so funny.
But he was I believe he was in some. I don't know if he was an insurance salesman. He did something. He was an insurance person of some sort. Like he was in the insurance business. And so both of my parents lived through the Depression. But I think both of their families did fairly well during the Depression. They weren't really, they were pretty comfortable.
He was in the insurance department, you said?
No, he was in. I think he was an insurance salesman.
Oh, salesman. Okay.
And I'm not sure when he and my grandmother Jeanette got married, or how they met. He lived until the age of 67. Or I might be wrong about. No, actually that makes sense. Yeah, no, he lived to the age of 67. He actually died in 1967. So he died about 2 years before I was born. And my middle name Scott is in reference to Saul. The first initial. That's why I was named Scott.
Yeah.
And my sister, going back to Grandpa's family, Heidi's name was a shout out to Hyman and Henrietta.
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them.
Just because the H?
The H, yes. I think there's some sort of Jewish tradition about doing things such as that.
Now, Grandma.
I just think. Oh.
No, you talked about Grandpa.
About Grandma. Oh, okay, yes. So Grandma, like her mother, she was very well educated, particularly for a woman in that time. So she was born in 1929. Grandpa was born in 1927.
Wait.
And just to go back for a moment about Grandpa. So Grandpa was born in 1927, which means that he was, he became 18 and eligible for the draft in what would have been October of 1945, which was just after World War II ended.
So he just missed
being drafted in World War II.
Okay.
So Grandma was very well educated. She graduated from Long Island University. I think around 1949. Not sure the exact year. Maybe it was 1949. I'm not sure of the exact year. And then she worked as a social worker in New York City for a number of years. And then she met Grandpa. I think they got married when she was about 26 or so. They had 5 kids, of course. She was, after they got married, she was, a homemaker. She read, 2 and 3 books at a time. And she did the New York Times crossword puzzle like every day. And kept a great house.
Nice. Is that?
Raised 5 kids.
Yeah.
Raised 5 kids, especially one super charming one.
Oh yeah, Patty.
Yeah. She lived till she was 91. Passed away in 2021.
That's crazy. 91.
91. All right, 91.
Yeah, 91.
Well, maybe 90. No, 91.
91,
She would have been
because then
92 in
yeah.
August. And Grandpa passed away in 2012 at 84. My stories of no great moment. Summers in Rangoon.
Stop. Okay, done?
Yeah, I mean, unless there's anything else you'd like to.
No, that's good. Okay. So
Alright.
that's the end of this episode. In the next episode, I'll be focusing on making the poster because I have all my information from both sides of the family. So thank you.